John Davison, head of GamePro, recently wrote in an article, "The revelation I've heard from more designers than anything else is this. Games are too hard, they're too long, and they provide way too much stuff." So what do you think, Bri? Are games too long and hard?
What's next, Rich? You're going to put your hands in your pockets and start saying, you know, Obama jokes? So obvious. Get out of here. I mean, this isn't just a flippant comment. He said there's a lot of companies that data mine information. And a lot of them found that only 5% of the player base actually finish a lot of their games, and most only play 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
So part of me says, you know, I finish games. But on the other side is that maybe they're right. I mean, if only 5% of the people playing finish, maybe they are too long and hard.
Maybe the games that they're playing are terrible.
Yeah.
Did they ever consider that?
I mean, that is a possibility.
If you buy like a Miley Cyrus game, and you of course you're going to play 5% of it because it's broken.
But all right, well, look, Steam has achievements online. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Half-Life Episode 1, about 4 to 5 hours, only has a 57% finish ratio. Portal is at a 48%. That's considered a big win for the industry. Think about that.
That's not a good example though.
But still, that's a low number.
The reason that's not a good example is because when those games came out, you bought them in the orange box.
Yeah.
A lot of people bought the orange box for Episode 1. Most people bought the orange box for Team Fortress 2.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that only half the people completed Portal, half the people. I don't think that's a good example.
Torchlight is only at 25%, and that's a long game. I mean, I think, look, the emotional side of me wanted to flip out on this.
Yeah.
But this is a good evidence to state that perhaps this is true. But why would game all right? Let me bring up something. In WoW, there was a big debate, huge debate. Blizzard would spend so much time on money making these raids, but only 2% of the player base would see it. The player base that had, you know, would spend their life. They wouldn't eat. All they did was play WoW, because WoW is not hard. It's a time sink. There's no skill involved. So they would just spend 18 hours a day playing WoW, and then play it. And then Blizzard said to themselves, "Why are we breaking our backs for 2%? Let's make it easier."
Yeah.
And more people get to see content they make now. I know that's a controversial thing, but I think that's a lot of what this is all about.
Bri, let's back up a second, all right? They're
saying how badly I botched controversial?
Yes. They're talking about games being too long and hard, okay?
Yeah.
Now, so is the solution to make every game easier and shorter? No. I mean, this is extreme here. Like, look, there's a market out. There's already games that are very easy and very short. There's games that are too long and too hard. But I mean, Bri, this is a big industry. Like, movies are too action-oriented. So no more action movies? No.
What am I doing here, Rich? Grasping for straws.
Yeah. No. But the point is this, man. This is an entire industry. Like, keep making games that are too long and hard, as long as there are games on the flip side.
Well, let me ask you something, though. Do you think that there are games that are too bloated, for example? Like Grand Theft Auto is a great game that came up to me. I guarantee you, if they data mine that, most people stopped playing before they went to New Manhattan, because it wasn't fun. It was a giant 8-hour tutorial, and then to get to Manhattan, you had to drive. Remember, you had to drive the speed limit and then pay the toll? Nah. I can see a lot of players just being like, I'm done. Why am I doing this lame mission?
But at the same time, that game sold over 10 million copies, so who cares?
What people care is the developers, because obviously people aren't seeing all the work they've done. That's what this is about.
Look, a lot of the people who, first of all, they're still buying the games, right? Yeah. Okay, if they don't finish it, either one, they didn't like it.
Yeah.
2, it was too long and too hard. Or 3, they didn't buy the game to beat it. Like Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft sneeze.
Grand Theft Auto, a bunch of people buy the game just to screw around, man.
Yeah.
They immediately buy the game, go online, get the cheat codes, and just cause havoc.
And I personally think it's just a too long issue, to be honest. Like every time Matt asks you about Final Fantasy 13, what's your first reaction? I don't have the time for that. You don't have 20 hours for the game to get good. Yeah. Most people are similar. They don't want to wait 20
that's
hours.
One example.
Is a long
That is one example, though. Bri, this generation, I'm willing to bet a single-player game, the average time for a single-player game is 10 hours. Yeah. That is not a long game.
Well,
what I want to know is, I want to see some stats on games like Uncharted 2,
right.
Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is another huge example of bloated.
Yeah.
So many missions that are pointless.
And I agree, but like, I'm curious to see stats on games like that. Because
I am very curious as well.
Those are games where there's nothing else. Like, you go in there to play a game from beginning to end. Like, you don't go into Uncharted 2 to like run around, and like it's very linear. Like, first of all, how do you stop in the middle of that game?
I don't know. It's not stop. But I think we would be. I think
that'd be a telling game.
From based on these stats, I guarantee you it's probably like 18% to finish Uncharted 2. I can honestly see this because people aren't like us, man. They play for 5 hours, they get their enjoyment, they're like, I'm done.
But if they're still getting their enjoyment, then this is a moot point. This is a non-issue.
It's more about the developers making things that people don't see. Like, why even spend all, like, because then, let's say Uncharted 2 get their data back.
Yeah.
They got to ask themselves, the developers, why are we spending all this time making this other content no one plays? Why didn't we make this amazing train mission and basically no one's
Because
playing?
if they didn't have the amazing train mission, a lot less, all those people who bought the game, look, at most of the people who buy these games and don't finish it, I'm willing to bet they're sold on marketing, they're sold on advertising, etc., right? If you don't have the freaking train mission, man, this game is not getting amazing reviews, and the casual fan is not buying the game.
I think Nintendo really cares about this because it's a super guide. I think they have probably good data to suggest that people don't finish their games either, and they're trying to combat it. But I don't think that's the solution. I think a game that does a really good job at difficulty is Bayonetta. Because on very easy, you can just press one button and it plays for you.
Right.
But while it plays for you, you can see how it plays and you can learn how to get better. That game is all about progression.
Would you play that game from beginning to end though if you just sat there like this?
No. But I think some players, maybe they want to see the end of the story, they might do that.
You know where the real, I'm going to say two more things. You know where the real issue comes into play? So like God of War 3. Ads all over the place, like, oh my God, this looks amazing. You go to your friend's house, oh my God, like if somebody comes to my house, I'm doing all the crazy stuff, and they're like, this is amazing. They go out and buy a PS3, they buy God of War 3, and then they're terrible at it. That's when it comes.
We saw that at PAX.
Yeah.
You were.
Oh my God, I was ready to kill people. Like these are.
They're like, this game stinks. They're like, no, you stink.
These are gamers
at
a freaking gaming convention trying God of War 3 for the first time, and they could not beat like any boss.
Maybe this is right, Rich. Maybe this is right. If the average gamer can't even get to the first level, maybe something's wrong. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we play a little Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Be sure to subscribe to TWiGames.com via RSS, iTunes, YouTube, and Twitter. That's TWiGames.